Welcome to this month's monthly mini pattern. We are going to be making the little candy corn pattern. To make this, you're going to need 3 colors of acrylic or cotton yarn in a medium weight, number 4. I am using the yellow, orange, and white for the traditional candy corn colors. You're also going to need fiberfill stuffing or polyfill, an E 3.5 crochet hook, a stitch marker, and some scissors to trim away at your ends. So let's go ahead and get started. To begin this pattern, we are going to begin with the yellow yarn and make a slip knot. Place your hook into the slip knot and chain 9. To chain, you're going to yarn over the hook with the working yarn and pull it through that loop. And do that 9 times until you have 9 chains on your foundation row. Okay, for round 1 of this pattern, we're actually going to work both sides of the foundation chain row. So we're going to create single crochets along the front and along the back. To begin, you're going to place your hook into the second chain from the hook. So right here, and you're going to pull up a loop with your working yarn so that you have 2 loops on the hook. Yarn over and pull through both loops on the hook. That will create your first single crochet. You're going to repeat that in each chain stitch to the end. And by the time you get to the end of the foundation chain row, you will have made 8 single crochets. Okay, that was our 8th single crochet. Now we are going to turn your work around. You'll see that your starting tail will be over here on your right side, and we're going to work down the back side here of the foundation chain row. So place your hook into that first chain on the back side, that loop right there, and single crochet. We're going to repeat that to the end, so by the time we work down this side, we'll have a total of 8 single crochets, and the 2 together, the 8 down the front and the 8 down the back, will create the first round for a total of 16 single crochets by the time we get to the end of round 1. Okay, make our last one here. And we're back to where we started, and here is the very first single crochet that we made. So to begin round 2, we're going to increase in the first stitch of the round. So we begin round 2 where we began in round 1. To increase, and we're working in single crochets, you're going to place 2 stitches into 1. That's what an increase is for this pattern. 2 stitches into 1, so 2 single crochets into this first stitch. So let's go ahead and make the first one and go right back into the same stitch and make an additional single crochet. And now we have increased, so we've made our first 2 stitches. I'm going to slide a stitch marker into the very first single crochet we made, and that will be the first stitch of round 2. So after increasing, we're going to make 1 single crochet into the next 7 stitches. So here's the first one, and we're going to move into the next stitch and make a single crochet. We'll repeat that until we've made 7. It's time to repeat that sequence. So we're going to increase into the next stitch. So here's the next stitch, and we're going to place 2 single crochets into that stitch, so back into the same stitch, and there we've increased, and then 1 single crochet into the next 7 stitches. So by the time we get to the end of round 2, we will have 18 single crochets. When we're working in the round with crochet, you will notice that your work has a tendency to try to curve wrong side out, as it's doing right now. You can tell the difference because the starting tail will be on the inside when you're working in the round, and you will actually be moving in a clockwise motion around your work. So if I just push that in a little bit, I can get my fabric back out right side facing, and you can see that that starting tail is on the inside. So for round 3, we're going to be working in the back loop only. I'm going to take my stitch marker out because this will be the stitch that we start round 3 in. And you can see for the single crochet, here's my 2 loops. Since I'm working in the back loop only, I'm going to put my hook under just the back loop. Here's the front loop. This is the back loop. So we're going to put a hook up under the back loop and make a single crochet and slide that stitch marker back into place, and we're going to repeat that all the way around. So into the back loop and single crochet. So by the time we get to the end of round 3, we will make 18 single crochets in the back loop only. Okay, here we're coming up on the end of round 3. For round 4, we're simply going to make 1 single crochet in each stitch around. So we're going to go back, since we're working in the stitch, we're just going to go under both loops, and we're going to make a single crochet, and we're going to repeat that all the way around. So by the time we get to the end of round 4, we will have made 18 single crochets. Okay, for round 5, we're going to begin rounds where we will decrease. So in round 5, we're decreasing. Let's move our stitch marker. To create a decrease, you're going to place your hook up under the first stitch and pull up a loop with the working yarn, so you have 2 on the hook. You're going to place your hook immediately into the next stitch, pull up a loop so that you have 3 on the hook, yarn over and pull through all 3 stitches. Go ahead and place your stitch marker back into that stitch. So we took 2 stitches down to 1, and that's now our first stitch of the round. And you're going to place 1 single crochet into the next 4 stitches. We'll repeat that sequence 2 more times in this round. So by the time we get to the end of this round, we will have 15 single crochets. So let's go ahead and decrease again. Put your hook under the stitch, pull up a loop, move over, pull up a loop, yarn over, and go through all 3 stitches loops on the hook, and then 1 single crochet into the next 4 stitches. Okay, final decrease of this round, up under there, pull up a loop into the next one, pulling up a loop, yarn over, pull through all 3, and then single crochet into the last 4 stitches. We are now going to change our color. So in the last stitch of this round is when we'll actually change color before we begin round 6. So you can see I've got both loops on the hook. Before I close, I'm going to trim away the yellow, leave a little bit of a longer tail. You don't want to cut it too short. And I'm going to pull up the orange. So when I pull my loop of orange through those 2 loops on the hook, what that will allow for me to do is to close the last stitch of round 5 in yellow and start moving forward in round 6 with the orange. You can see once I pulled it through, I closed that stitch in yellow. And now I'm ready to go forward in round 6 with the orange. So for rounds 6 and 7, we're simply making 1 single crochet in each stitch around. So by the time we get to the end of both rounds 6 and 7, we'll have made 15 single crochets. After you change color and you have those yarn tails in there, you can tuck them into the candy corn to get them out of your way. If you need to gently pull on them to tighten where you made a color change, that's fine as well. You don't need to worry about weaving them in, but see, you can tell they get in the way sometimes. So you can just take them and stuff them in there and out of your way. And as we come to the end of round 6 already, we are nearly done, halfway through this pattern. It just works up so quickly. Let's go ahead and proceed with round 7. 1 single crochet in each stitch around. I actually presented in a classroom yesterday at one of my children's school, and they absolutely loved the mini candy corns. I had taken in several different items for them to look at, types of yarn for them to feel. So we talked about small business, and we talked about crochet and yarn art and different hobbies you can have. And the mini candy corn was a hit. Okay, for round 8, we're going to decrease again. So take your hook up under the first stitch of the round, pull up a loop, go into the next stitch, pull up a loop, pull through all 3 to take those first 2 stitches down to 1, insert your stitch marker back in, and place 1 single crochet into the next 3 stitches. And then we're going to repeat that sequence 2 more times. So decrease, and then single crochet into the next 2, and then a decrease. Or pardon me, I messed up. Decrease again, single crochet into the next 3, and our final decrease of this round, and single crochet into the final 3 stitches. For round 9, we're just going to make 1 single crochet in each stitch around. At the end of round 9 here, we will change color to the white, and then we will begin to stuff our candy corn. Okay, so in that last stitch, we're going to pull up 2 loops, but we're not going to close it with our third, or with our orange. We're going to close with the white here, pull it through, so it's completed in orange, but ready to move forward with the white. I'm going to go ahead and make the first stitch of round 10, which is a decrease, and get my stitch marker in place. So here's the decrease, first round 10. I'm going to place my stitch marker there, And I'm gonna go ahead and stuff my candy corn just a little bit. You wanna go ahead and stuff it enough that it holds its shape without stuffing it so full that it gaps or makes gaps between your stitches that you can see the fiber fill. So a little bit more. I also forgot to trim away the orange yarn, so I'll stuff that in there from where we changed color. Okay, that's pretty good. Get down there in those corners. Okay, so I've already decreased for my first stitch of round 10, and then I'm going to work 1 single crochet into the next 2 stitches. And we'll repeat that twice. So a decrease and a single crochet into the next 2 stitches. And then a decrease, the final decrease of the round. And 1 single crochet into the last 2 stitches. Round 11, we're just going to place 1 single crochet in each stitch around. Here's the final stitch of round 11. We're going to go ahead and place just a tiny bit more fiber fill to get those last couple rounds stuffed, and we'll make our final round and close. Okay, for round 12, we're going to single crochet, or pardon me, we're going to decrease, decrease at the beginning of the round. So like a decrease, and then we'll single crochet into the next stitch, and we'll repeat that 2 more times for a total of 6 stitches by the end of this round, and then we will fasten off and close up our candy corn. Final stitch here. Okay, so let's leave a long tail of yarn here for sewing. Pull it through, fasten off, and remove your stitch marker. And now we're going to close the top. So take your yarn needle and use that tail of yarn that we left on there and thread your needle here. And what we're going to do to close is whip stitch in and out of the front loops. So here's your back loop, here's both loops, here's your front loop. So go up under that front loop, and then we're going to go back into the next front loop. And we're going to do that all the way around. It only takes back and forth for a total in through 6 stitches, so it doesn't take long to close the top here. And then once you get through that last front loop stitch, gently pull, and it will cinch the top closed. And then you can take your needle and weave it through the candy corn to secure it, and trim away that excess yarn tail. And you can then reshape, because stuffing it and moving everything around can push the stuffing off to the side, so just gently push on it, reshape it. And there you have it. You've completed your mini candy corn.